have a issue with my body, my appearance, right? And sometimes I am very hard on myself on the way I look, the size that I am, and just little different nitpicky things. And I Desiree is one of the people I talk to about it. But what the podcast does is it allowed me to just, this is my space to develop.
Yeah.
This is my space, my safe space. If I'm saying, okay, we create a safe space for influencers, decompress, have fun, and just ask, why can't I be safe?
Right.
That's just crazy. So when you have your intro, whatever you developing or whatever, you got to figure out, what do you need for you that you're gonna give others? This is so good.
Ooh.
What do you need for yourself that you're gonna give others? And so what I did was I created a safe space, not because other people needed it, but because I needed it first.
Hey, thank God for another day. Hey, I know we could be another way. Hey, pray. Thank God for another day. Hey, I know we could be another way. Hey, yeah.
And Juicy J ain't got nothing on me.
Who's Juicy J?
I knew you was about to ask me that. You are not.
I don't know, Jessica.
Can somebody tell her in the comments who Juicy J is? Because
Juicy J.
he's in a rap. Well, he was in a rap group, but he stands alone.
Okay.
I will not sing any of his songs on this platform. But I knew there's one in particular that comes to mind, and I will not sing it.
Okay.
I'll tell you off camera.
Okay. Okay.
That just interrupted my spirit, but it's okay.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. It just lets me know that you were not of the world.
I don't know.
Not Juicy J.
If it ain't
Gorilla Zoe. Do you know Gorilla Zoe? You don't know Gorilla Zoe? Okay, Young Jock.
I heard of Young Jock.
Okay.
Young Jock from back my day.
Gorilla Zoe and Juicy J are definitely back in your day. You're older than me. Okay, let's just get into it. Welcome to Jess Ask, the podcast where we create a safe space for influencers to decompress, have fun, to just ask. It's your girl, Jessica S. Smith, and I am here with the one, the only, Desiree.
Hey.
Desiree.
Hey.
Desiree.
What's up, you guys? Hi. I don't know Juicy J. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Like, I'm very confused right now.
Okay, well, I'll put it this way. A lot of times I may hear the music, may know the music. I may not know the people.
Juicy J say his name in the songs too much for you not to know who he is. It's okay. It's okay. I'm going to tell you something.
Okay.
But we don't really listen to that type of music for real anymore. I ain't gonna lie. I have my moments, but not with Juicy J. I might have my moments with like T.I. I'm on the grind, grand hustle, got the mind and the muscle. Like I feel like,
I'm old. If it ain't.
No, but you didn't know the song that I just said about T.I.? Do you know who T.I. is?
I know who T.I. is.
Okay. You looking at me like.
I know who T.I. is.
Okay. I sometimes I have to hit that motivation.
Okay. I understand.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Well, that was ASAP that I just did.
Oh.
One of the two.
ASAP Rocky. That's not right. No.
I wish y'all could have seen her face.
No.
Y'all, first of all, we're not going to disrespect these folks' establishment with ignorance. Okay? By these folks, I'm talking about the JD and the D family.
The JD and the D family.
Listen, we appreciate you guys. We love you guys. Man, the link is really where it's at, y'all. So if y'all not coming, y'all not booking, they have a podcast room.
Yep.
They have a conference room. They have I'm going to call it an auditorium because literally they got the screens, they got the sound system. Everything that you need is already here. You just got to show up, pull up, and pay.
Pull up and pay.
Book your reservation. Well, okay? And if you need a tour, it's a virtual option.
Pay then pull up. Pay then pull up.
Pay and pull up.
Pay then pull up.
Yeah, because you don't get to pull up if you don't pay.
Yeah.
All right. Shout out to the link right here in Birmingham, Alabama. Y'all. So outside of talking about Juicy J and T.I., Saints, don't get mad. Y'all okay. Y'all know y'all listened to them back in the day anyway. So don't come for me. Come for somebody else. All right. So today, I really want to talk about the benefits of podcasting, right? The idea of the podcasting world. Why are we doing this? Why you should do it, especially if you're thinking about it. I think it's a good conversation to have, especially for Kingdom Matters. For Kingdom Matters, right? And a lot of people say, like, ask the question, how do I get into this? How did you start or whatever? So I'm about to answer that part right now. So back in 2022, I had just met my who I consider now my spiritual father, Apostle Howell. Y'all remember him? He came for our next when he came on the podcast.
Indeed.
So when I was doing that, when I was talking to him and getting to know him and stuff like that, man, one day he randomly just called me. I think he called me, and we were having a conversation. He said, "Jessica, you need to start a podcast." Who are you talking to? Like, who are you talking to? And I said, okay, what is that? I don't, I heard of a podcast. I didn't really know what all went into having a podcast, but I knew he had a podcast, right? And so that's one of the things we talked about or whatever, but he was just so adamant about having a podcast, right? And so when he told me, I was like so confused on why he would ask me, because for one, I felt like people didn't appreciate my voice. People didn't listen to me. And what I was already doing on YouTube wasn't really, getting the traction that it needed, right? So, but sometimes you just got to operate in obedience, right? So once he put it in the atmosphere, it did not stop ringing from my head. Yeah. Like, it just kept.
So he had planted the seed.
Baby, he planted that seed, baby. And somebody was watering it.
Listen.
Somebody was watering it. So I did it. So behind the scenes, he helped me pretty much with everything. Like, for instance, like for all our platforms, for our audio, we use Spreaker. That's how everything, the host platform, it goes and distributes to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, anybody that you apply and get approved for, right?
Let me ask you just real quick, Jess. I know there are multiple different distribution type platforms. What made you land on Spreaker?
So Spreaker was what he introduced me to. So I went with what he trusted. There, I think it's called Red Dot. So it's a lot of them up there. Like even Spotify have their own. But the thing about Spotify is that you only get to use it on Spotify. It's free, but you just it's only on Spotify, which nothing's wrong with that if you okay with just being on Spotify.
Right.
I'm an Apple girl, so I have Apple Podcasts. I want to be able to listen on my Apple Podcasts. So just the flexibility of it. Spreaker is very easy to use. I don't know why I'm doing this ad for them right now.
I mean,
they're going to have to pay me.
Oh, okay.
But honest to God, y'all, Spreaker is a good host of the audio for the podcast. So use that. It was easy to set up. And then I already had my YouTube channel, which was interesting, y'all. So Jess Ask was already what I was already using that for my vlogging or discussion time or whatever. Literally, I would sit in front of a camera and I would talk. I learned how to edit then. I was already doing my thumbnail. I'm already doing then what I'm doing now.
Wow.
Just not as intensified, right? So when he put the label podcast to it, I was like, no, that's responsibility. That's a lot of work. You know what I'm saying? Which,
I'm doing it, but I just don't want to call it what I'm doing.
I'm playing. At this point, I'm playing.
Oh, okay.
And he like, you need to take this thing serious, right? Not knowing that, like, I'm literally interviewing my friends. I'm having a discussion with Bree. Bree has, shout out to you, baby. You have been down for the count. You feel me? So, and Bree is the reason why I started a YouTube channel. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't really seeing myself doing this. So fast forward, we had a conversation. I'm on the background doing my research, doing the YouTube thing, also getting feedback from him. And so literally I told Greg, shout out to Greg, that I was going to do the podcast. Yeah. And he held me accountable. And I recently learned that accountability is basically helping people to push to where they said they wanted to be. Right? So literally, I might have gotten frustrated with him asking me questions, but all he was doing was reminding me of what I said I was going to do.
What you said you was going to do.
All right. But that's another podcast for another day. So when I did that, when I told him that, he was on me. So I started Jess Ask the podcast October 20th, 2022. That's actually my mama's birthday. That's how I can remember it too. So it was on a Thursday because I was like, God, if you really want me to do this, okay, if I'm starting on October, what day do you want me to start it on? And I've always been big on birthdays. So things happen literally on people that's special to me on their birthday. So my mom's birthday is October 20th. It was on a Thursday. That's how Just Ask the podcast started coming out every Thursday. It was nothing deep like that. So whatever day of the week you want to choose to do your podcast, do it. Just do it, okay? Yeah. And so now we're almost 2 years in. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I'm kind of like blown away with everything that has happened in less than 2 years.
Yeah.
So when we get to 5, you know, like I'm gonna be like, bruh, like I'm probably gonna cry.
Yeah.
Because it's like I thought that I almost gave up before you got here. Before you got here. So people really be asking like, how did Desiree get involved? She inserted herself.
And did.
Tell the folks about that.
I was just being obedient. So like, and I wasn't kind of like just like, I'm podcast. What does that mean? I was learning. I knew how to use a camera for photography. And one of the courses that I took did a combination of both. So it taught the basics of photography and videography, right? So I was learning how to use the camera to record video. I had a friend, Kiani, who actually had a podcast. She had an audio podcast called Becoming My Best Me. And she would take the audio and put the audio on YouTube with a graphic. I said, that ain't what YouTube for. YouTube is for video, right? So I was like, well, I got a camera. So this literally just my thinking. We just trying to help. I was like, oh, I got a camera. I can just turn in her segments was only like 5 to 10 minutes. They were like these little quick bites to kind of get you through your day kind of thing. And so she would come over. I put the camera on. I was using like a little lapel mic, a little situation, and we record the video. I give it to her, and she put it on a thing. So after kind of doing this consistently, now my mind is like, oh man, this is kind of cool. Like, how can I make this better kind of thing? So I'm like, the Lord dropped you in my spirit. Because one, I'm kind of like, is this something that people actually do, or like do people like that's doing it themselves? I knew you was doing it yourselves. I was like, is this something that people like need help with?
Yeah,
like,
we need help.
I don't even know what that looks like. So I just reached out to say, hey. So I was really reaching out just to ask you questions, like, hey, you're doing this on your own. Like, is this something that if you had the opportunity, like, would you want somebody to help you with this, or like, what pieces would you be cool with releasing? And I was just really asking questions, just trying to like form that entrepreneur like creativeness in me. Like, what does this look like? And so I reached out and I asked this shit what they look like. I was really asking questions, and then the Lord was like, boom, there it is. Boom,
you're gonna help her. And I didn't know that, but the one thing that she didn't know at the time, I'm in season 2, right? So at first with the consistency your podcast needs, if you say that you're going to be there weekly on a certain day, you have to plan to be there that certain day, right? Now, it's no secret that we pre-record. Like, we'll do batch recording and let the episodes come out. It's nothing wrong with that. Like, that's the best way. She has a busy schedule, I have a busy schedule. But in the beginning, it was all me, and I never really planned out well enough to what do I want to talk about? Because at this point, I'm not really having that guest. Like, the guest thing just started, and it started booming like crazy, especially this year. And so it was just me. And then when Desiree came around, I was talking, and I felt like I got better having somebody that was at least looking at me. Yeah. And then she was talking so good. I was like, baby, you have to get a mic. I don't want to be on the camera. I was like, so we had to go back and forth about her being on camera. So everything that y'all see has been like a development point, but it's because we decided to go, right? And so, but when I first started, I was doing seasons.
Yeah.
I was doing seasons before the first podcast summit, and I was doing 10 episodes per season. And now I don't even understand why I did that, but because I didn't really have a valid excuse while I did it. I
think like seasons and series have their place too. Like if it's something like I kind of look at it like this. So you can do one episode. So let's say I just want to just try to see what this is kind of like. Right. And most of the time when people do that first episode, they kind of realize that it's a little bit more than what they thought. Yep. You know, the commitment is a little bit more than they thought. And they be like, okay, I did it. Okay, great. I think a season allows you to, you know, be committed, you know, give a point in time for commitment. Or let's say it's a certain topic or a certain thing that you want to have a series around. I think a season is great. Yeah. But when you like, hey, I'm in this thing for real, I think that's the distinction that you had to begin to make. Like, I think at first you was just kind of doing it because it was like, Apostle Howell said I should do this. Okay, cool. I'm kind of already doing it. Let me just commit, kind of. But then you had to make a decision to like really, really commit.
Well, when you came along, I didn't have no choice but to commit. So I think it was levels, and we talking about a lot of good stuff right now. But let's stick on the podcast for right, because if we go from podcast to partnership, this whole thing will shift real quick. But I needed Desiree in order to commit to the thing that God wanted me to do. So I'm focused on trying to get it done. And I was like, you know what? I did the 10 episodes by myself. Woo! I did it by myself. Now all of them didn't have video because that wasn't my expertise, right? I only did stuff off my phone. But at this point, I'm using my computer. I didn't invest it in I won't call it a real investment.
It wasn't a bit. You paid money for it?
I paid money for it, but it was a broken investment. But it was a camera, and it would flicker on and off. Y'all can, if the stuff is still on there, y'all can go. It does not look like the quality of work that we have now. And I was in my office at home, and I had the, headphones trying to look like I'm cool, and I had the. I did it because I thought it was what I was supposed to do, right? And I made it work. Now, audibly, we have all those episodes, except for my dad's, because that was a bad audio moment. Mm-hmm. But audibly, we have all those episodes. And but the visual part, I was like, woo, because technically podcasting is audio.
It is.
Technically podcasting is audio. So if you chose to just do audio, you'll make your life probably a little bit easier. Yeah. However, people are into being able to see who they hear. Yeah. That's I almost shifted with saying just that. But people like to see who they hear, and it's a benefit to being able to have both, right? So you're satisfying those needs, right?
Yeah. I think you too, when you're kind of deciding to do which lane, I think it's easier to start with a traditional like audio podcast, and there's nothing wrong with that. Right. Like there's people who only have audio podcasts and are like doing really well. Really well. It's just that the time as things shift and change. Of course, YouTube has been big for a minute now. So now people are like, oh, I can actually watch who I'm actually listening. I can get to see like it's different when you actually get to see like expressions and things of that nature for people. And it's and if I'm honest, like you can kind of do it simultaneously. Like if you have audio going into the camera, why not just throw the camera up and then now you have the video and the audio to put the audio on the audio platforms. But there's obviously there's nothing wrong with if you just decide to start to do audio, because I think at some point in time in my life I will have a audio podcast, and I think it's just going to be honestly just audio. That's what's been the sound. Like I just keep hearing the Lord talk about the sound, and I think that's the direction that that I will go in at that point in time. Even though I can do video, and I may still throw the camera up for now every now and then just to get like some clips and stuff like that for social media. But ain't nothing wrong with it. Start what you are.
And it's cheaper.
It is.
Like you can use your phone for all of this. Yep. I'm gonna repeat. You can use your phone for all of this. Yep. It does not have to be even what we have. And the gag is that we ain't even got what everybody else have.
Listen, let me tell you, baby. Jessica talked about me so good when I came up in there.
Oh my God,
baby! I had these microphones, and she said,
"What kind of microphones?"
These church mics.
They
I
are
said,
church microphones,
but these is good dynamic microphones, and that's what we've been using. My church mics.
Oh, speaking of the link, these are their microphones.
Listen, appreciate it.
They provide the microphones for all you have to do is literally bring the card for the podcast room. But like literally, like all you need is your phone, right? The phone really picks up good audio as long as you know. And then when you're editing, you can remove the background noise. Like there's so many tools that are in your favor. Yeah. I'm gonna say that again for the people in the back. Yeah. There are so many tools in your favor. You just gotta decide to do it, right? So sound is the more comfortable option for people that don't want to do the video. But what about the people that don't like their voice? All right. I was one of those people. I was one of the people that I was like right now, what you're getting right now, go listen to my first episode. I was like, hello guys, my name is Jessica Smith.
Not trying to change the voice.
Oh baby, I lifted that voice so good. Cause I was like, I sound like a man, right? But didn't nobody watch that. Probably because it was my first episode, but also like my first season, I had some good some good messages or some good moments. Yeah. But I was not myself. I really wasn't myself. And so if you ever go back to a few of my first episodes, I think you would enjoy them, but you'll be like, who in the world is that girl? Because I was trying to get comfortable with me. So this is what the benefits, that's why I said I want to talk about the benefits of podcasting beyond the money, beyond advertising, beyond saying, okay, I'm going to do, beyond all of that. I want to get y'all to understand why, if you're going to be in this world, this podcast world, or even in entertainment, these are the things you should look forward to, okay? So Desiree's going to hear me out on these. She don't even know what I wrote down.
I don't.
All right. So the first one was, the benefit was voice activation. So like I said, I felt like I sounded like a man. I felt like, nobody really was listening to me. But everything I started saying, as I developed and I got comfortable, I started to show up as myself. Yeah. And I started allowing my voice to be what my voice is going to be, which started activating things such as the Tabitha Brown situation. Yeah. So if y'all don't know, if y'all go play it back, I think it was the last episode of last year, 2023. And in that episode, I said, no, that wasn't that episode. No, it was that episode. I prayed for the next year. But then it was another episode right before my birthday where I said, Desiree was like, how you feel? And I was like, I don't know. I'm nervous because something's about to happen. And literally,
I think we were kind of talking about your birthday.
Yeah. Okay. Literally, something happening was Tabitha Brown just allowing me to bust the ceiling on my voice. Yeah. So now my voice is being not just reached for my audience, but it's starting to expand over the globe, right? Yeah. So when you think about it, especially as a believer, when you think about it, we're called to the nation, we're called to the nations, we're called to speak and voice activate and use our faith. And if we're not doing that, then things don't come alive. And so when I start podcasting, I started speaking more. I started speaking up for myself. Yeah. I started speaking up for what I desire. I started altering what I say, right? I had to be mindful of my words. And, I used to stutter a whole lot. Like I still stutter. But even now, because I keep pushing beyond that, there are things about my voice that I'm not intimidated about or scared to use, right? A lot of times at this point, me and Desiree have had this conversation. Oh, I can't be saying that because things be happening.
Yeah. No, like real talk, Jess, I can wholeheartedly agree. Like I ain't want to be The only reason why I'm right here in this camera and this microphone is because of Jessica. I would have been perfectly fine sitting right behind here with my little switching board and my little headphones and not saying nothing. Okay. But like she said, it me being obedient, honestly, and actually allowing myself to share. Like, I don't always have anything to say, but when I do, it's okay. You know what I'm saying? And it has made me more comfortable in my just regular life.
Yeah.
Using my voice. Cause kind of like, I don't know, like I've had this thing too. I'm like, I don't even got nothing to say, because honestly, within these last couple of years, I'm now just stepping into being comfortable with my voice at all, just because it had got muted so young, you know what I'm saying? And so I'm like, man, I ain't got nothing to say. But it's so interesting now. I'm paying attention to people how people respond to me when I'm talking. Like even my mama the one that shut me down, honey. And she will call me for my opinion. She will call me just to hear what I have to say about something. And I'm just like, wow, like this is bananas. And like you said, like something, and now I'm aware that I have to be very careful with the things that I say. Because even this morning, crazy thing, this happened twice this week. I was praying about a friend. I look at my phone, the friend doesn't text me. I'm praying this morning about my mama, and my mom's getting she's in the process of like, she's bought land, she's trying to get a new home and stuff like that. So I'm, thanking God for her new home, blah, 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 blah. Not even, I don't know, 10 minutes later, she called me. It was like, hey, did I tell you I talked to the lady about the house? And I was just like, oh man, Lord, this is so cool. But I'm just getting more comfortable because everything is voice activated.
It is. It
everything is definitely voice activated.
And that's a beautiful thing that you brought up, that you're becoming more comfortable outside of the camera. Like the thing about it is people think that the podcast really starts right here.
Yeah.
But it really starts off camera.
Yeah, for sure.
Like a lot of our conversations that we have, people that we talk about, people that we say, hey, we would love for them to be on the platform or whatever. They end up reaching out to us and saying, hey, I want to be on your platform. Why? Because it doesn't just present their voice, but we believe that on this specific platform, it activates another level.
Yeah.
Like anybody that touches this platform, that like just because of what God has like done in us and the gifts that we have within us beyond what you see right here, it makes them excited about themselves. Yeah. And so your voice is connected to a lot of greatness. And you just gotta stop being afraid or allowing the enemy to punk you out on what your gift is. All right. So that's my first one, voice activation. The second one is that the benefit is that it builds confidence. Baby, when I tell you, I don't even know how to genuinely express the lack of confidence that I've had. Like a lot of people see me as, oh, Jessica, you have red hair, you have this, you have that. I did all of that for like so that I could have confidence. Like I've always and me and Desiree were just talking about this right before we started recording. I have a issue with my body, my appearance, right? And sometimes I am very hard on myself on the way I look, the size that I am, and just little different nitpicky things. And I Desiree is one of the people I talk to about it. But what the podcast does is it allowed me to just, this is my space to develop.
Yeah.
This is my space, my safe space. If I'm saying, okay, we create a safe space for influencers, decompress, have fun, and just ask, why can't I be safe?
Right.
That's just crazy. So when you have your intro, whatever you developing or whatever, you got to figure out, what do you need for you that you're gonna give others? This is so good.
Ooh.
What do you need for yourself that you're gonna give others? And so what I did was I created a safe space, not because other people needed it, but because I needed it first. That's why that first season was by myself primarily. That's why we did like a lot of things so that I could be comfortable with me, because I wouldn't be comfortable. If I wasn't comfortable with me, I wouldn't be comfortable with other people. And so this is a nugget. I didn't even write this in my notes. Before you start trying to interview people and do all this other stuff, get you get you comfortable with your space first.
Yeah.
Because if you're not comfortable with your space, you're not going to have a good conversation. You're not going to interview well. But beyond the research that you do, it's just not going to be good. Like even if you study it, it's just not going to be genuine. It's just not going to be good. And just because you can have a good conversation off camera does not mean that you can have a good conversation in front of the camera. The cameras make things different. Am I lying?
No, you're right.
The cameras make things different. Sometimes your anxiety can get up. You can be acting fake. You know what I'm saying? I love Deborah. Shout out to Deborah. She told me the other day, she was like, I enjoy your platform because you're the same girl you are on the camera, you can meet her on Saturday. Yeah. You can meet me on Saturday. For real. And I'm going to show up the same way. And before I didn't have the confidence that I could be me. And so it brought me to me, and it made me confident that I could help people be comfortable and safe enough to be themselves here.
Yeah. That's definitely what I experience is like, kind of like you said, like, what do you need that you want other people to be able to experience? Mm-hmm. And so if you need a safe space in order to be able to let your hair down, let your guard down and be safe in a vulnerable space, then that's the same kind of thing that somebody else would need to, especially if you think about like influencers, you think about like people in ministry, like they're probably so used to being like on all the time. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? But you've created a space where they can just come in and just like, oh, yeah, okay, I like this.
Yeah, and not to brag, like people really like coming here. It's bigger than you just getting exposure and getting some clips and being able to collaborate. It's bigger than that. Like people genuinely like being around me and Desiree. And the thing that they've said has been like, man, they're so nice. Mm. You know, like God has given us a platform to where we can host people and just be nice to them. Like, I don't want to gossip. I don't want to talk about nothing crazy. Yeah. I don't like what comes out here is just genuine conversation. Yeah. And so check your heart on even why you want to start one. You know what I'm saying? Because it's not going to last. Yeah. If you're just starting it just to be seen, just to be
another trendy thing to do.
Because it's not trend.
Baby, listen.
Baby, this is not a trend.
Baby, listen. Like the amount of work and time and effort that really goes into not even necessarily like the quality, right? Mm-hmm. I'm talking about even when you started with where you were, there was still time that you had to put into it. So like just say like you really have to check your heart and your motive behind the thing, because when things happen, because things are going to happen, plenty of things have happened. Plenty. I say plenty of crazy things in the moment happens. And so if you don't keep your why in front of you, why you even started, it's going to be easy for you to shut the camera off and go and not do it again.
And then, so I'll bring up the partnership thing again. You may not have, before I had Desiree, I had Greg. And Greg, he's been on a couple shows. When time permits, he'll be back. But I had Greg he was listening to every episode. He was providing me feedback. He was telling me what he saw as I was pushing forward. He was excited about me going to the podcast summit. Like literally, even though he wasn't physically, helping me with, editing, recording, anything like that, he was partnering with me even in the feedback. So sometimes a lot of times partnerships look different. You may not have your Desiree yet. I always tell people that you need a Desiree, and I stand on them. I stand on them words. But you also need a Greg. Yeah. Greg gave me, this is so good. Greg gave me the partnership he could give me, which was through accountability and support. If nobody else was listening to my podcast, Greg was listening to my podcast. If nobody else was giving me feedback, Greg was giving me feedback and new ideas and pushing me to this point to where I could manage a Desiree. Mm. Before I had Desiree, I had to learn the stresses that Desiree would have. I had to learn what I wanted, right? Some of us don't want to do certain things. We want to pay pay everybody to do everything. But one thing I love about that doggone David Shands, he gonna figure it out himself, and then he gonna pay somebody, but he's gonna be able to tell somebody what they want.
What they want, yeah.
What he wants.
Yeah.
You're not gonna just do his work any type of way. Now, if he's just not an expert in it or whatever, he might do some research and let you do your thing and say, hey, I don't think that sound right. But that man, he'll get behind the camera, he'll start editing or whatever. You'll never know how to do that if you don't put your hand to the test. Yeah. And so I can appreciate Desiree because I have done it for myself.
Yeah. Man. It's a lot. And it's just funny because I'm just going back to, you just have to keep your why in front of you. Like, because when I tell you, like, it wasn't until I said like yes for real. Like like I said, I was doing the things, but as I said yes, you know, I was able to elevate my knowledge and things of that nature, but things would happen.
Yeah.
And I'll be mad. I'll be real
mad. A lot of things have happened. One of the things that happened was when we did the Father's Day podcast. And that was for me. A lot of people enjoyed it. Y'all enjoyed it. That one was personal. And that doggone audio went out.
Now keep in mind, y'all, this is the third episode of the day. At the time, I was using a different recorder. Okay, it's done going to Jesus. Okay, it's done going on.
It died.
It's done going on to Jesus, and I think that was his last leg. I didn't know. So we had recorded 2 episodes that day, and then we did Jess's dad episode. And keep in mind, it's lit like it's recording. Okay, the numbers is counting up and everything. The next day, I had a project to do. I had to do audio, recording everything, and we did a podcast later on that evening. Why did it record? It recorded the first 2 that day. It did not. It was like empty files of Jessica's dad's audio. Then the next day, the project I did, empty files of the audio, and then it decided to record the last one of the day. Right. So here we are, and at that time, her dad was getting ready to go into surgery. Yeah. You know, he's overcoming and fighting through the cancer and things of that nature. And so I knew it was a very special moment. And like, I felt really defeated in that moment because I'm like, dang, like this was a big moment. And I felt like I dropped the ball, even though I didn't drop the ball. Right. Mm-hmm. And so it's just little pieces like that, like what has been happening where I know the enemy is trying to throw me off. I know the enemy is trying to make me second guess what I know God is telling me to do. But at the end of the day, I know what God told me to do. Right. So regardless of, I'm like, all right, Lord, so what? So thankfully I had somebody that gifted a roadcaster. Mm-hmm. So when the thing went down, we just went on. Now we in a space where we can use what they got.
Yeah, most definitely. I think the biggest thing too, to add to what you're saying regarding that situation, is now you gotta, when things happen like that, she gotta tell me. And if you know, we talked about type A in a few episodes ago. If you know me, you know that I'm a little special.
You got better though, Jessica. You've been growing.
You know what? But the thing is, before Dad's episode, we had Coach D, the Fumbies and the Wilsons.
The Fumbies and the Wilsons.
And there, we had some struggles with the audio there. And so this process has really taught me, I didn't even put this on the list, this process has really told me to go with the punches.
Yeah.
Like, Carl, I can't even think of like Carl's last name right now, but he's on the podcast with CJ and ET and them. And he's into the tech, he's the tech guy, right? So I was able, by being in the 7-Figure Podcast community, to communicate, hey, this is what happened with this episode. And he was like, okay, send me a link to let me see it. Yeah. And he's the one, if it wasn't for him, whew, my God, I would have been messed up. He was like, hey, just use this.
Yeah.
Just go with it. Because he understood the sentiment behind it. And then I would never get that back. Sometimes you just got to go with the punches and go with what you know.
Yeah.
But people still watched it and people still enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And so give yourself grace. Give yourself grace. Let's go to the third thing. So the another benefit for podcasting is that it promotes consistency.
Mm.
It makes you either be a liar or a truth teller.
Ooh. Oh.
You either gonna lie to the people and say you gonna show up and not show up when you said you're gonna show up, or you just gonna show up.
Yep.
Like, people say, oh my gosh, I'm so proud of you, because you're proud because it's something that you don't think you can do.
Mm-hmm.
But you, like you said, we have to push beyond ourselves, push, like, knowing your why. I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah.
Knowing your why of why you're doing this. I know that this podcast thing is breaking yokes every week.
Yeah.
I know it.
Yeah.
I know it's building my bloodline. I know it's setting myself, my family up when I get my own, for success. I know that when my children see me and I go on to glory, they still get to come to YouTube or whatever platform I'm still on and say, oh my gosh, that was my mama.
Yeah.
My mama was doing it. My grandma was doing it. My great-grandma was doing it. I'm leaving a legacy.
Yeah.
And so that is what gets me out of my funk. Anytime it's time for me to say, okay, it's time to turn on, which I'm already on if I'm being myself.
Man. Yeah.
You and my girl in deep thought over there. My girl in deep thought.
It was like boom, and then it just went pew. I was like, dang, so we want to come back that one.
But yeah, y'all, watch this. You deserve to be consistent. You deserve to be consistent. I have this thing.
Consistent. Yeah, there you go. Thank you. Boom. If I'm honest, this podcast has helped me. So me and Jessica are very different. I don't know if you noticed that or not. She's very type A, and I'm just kind of like, hey, we here. But what this podcast has helped me to do is to really get more disciplined and consistent in my regular life, because I know we have a like, so as we've grown, now this ain't what we was before. Before we was just trying to figure it out. But now as we've grown, we've come up with a schedule. We have like a recording schedule. We have a releasing schedule. We have like processes and procedures in place now that helps us stay consistent so that we can continue to do what we know that God has told us to do.
And having the process and procedures helps the plan and execution. Like, we review anytime something come up, like, we're reviewing it. Like, I'm listening to the podcast, the same episode multiple times.
Yeah.
We got to look at, okay, what did we say? We got to look at it to get the titles and the clips that we want. And also, it's a lot into it than just pressing and record and going, right? So the consistent part of it is that being consistent allows you to see, okay, I got this flaw right here. This is so good. I got this flaw right here. Am I going to fix it or I'm going to let it go?
Yeah.
I don't like this, or I think we should change this, or we can see what's working, right?
Yeah.
The reason why you guys like the show is because we're consistently ourselves. We consistently show up at the same time every week. You know what's coming. And so I love the fact that Desiree said this podcast allowed me to be consistent with myself. This podcast is breaking things for me personally.
Yeah.
Like, I cannot be the same person at my house.
Yeah.
And show up a different way. You don't get the genuineness out of that. So you're going to feel everything that we going through. So consistency, watch this. Consistency allows people to trust you. It makes me trustworthy. It makes Desiree trustworthy when we say that we're going to do something and we're actually doing it. And we're not just doing it, we're doing it every week.
Yeah.
Because in y'all's mind, I'm just going to say what's in y'all mind, it's hard, and you haven't seen yourself be consistent with you. And that's what you really want. You don't want to, sometimes you don't want the podcast. Sometimes you just want the evidence of the consistency. And whatever area, maybe it's not podcasting, whatever area that you said you was going to show up for, get some accountability, get your partner, tell them, okay, this is what I want to do, and allow them to hold you accountable for that.
Yeah.
Because that's going to help promote the consistency that you want. Because I know you ain't just worried about lying to people, but you worried about lying to yourself. Listen, you're talking about to somebody that has been sick and tired of lying to themselves. There's some things I've been lying to myself for. I'm like, God, okay, how do we deal with this?
Yeah.
How do we deal with this? We continue to denounce our flesh.
Yeah. And
we operate in the spirit. That's my answer.
That's good, Jess. That's good.
All right. So the fourth thing is, and I love this. This is probably one of my favorites. Podcasting creates community. I love our community. Shout out if you have been riding with Jess Ask. First of all, I want to say thank you, but I want to know who you are. So I need you to comment below. I need you to. I want to say thank you to each and every one of you, y'all. This community has been growing.
Yeah,
it's been growing like. It's been growing.
Yeah, for real.
Like genuinely.
Yeah.
And like shout out to my TikTok family because y'all really help your girl out. But the people that we get to meet, not just that are part of our community, but the people that we get to bring on, like Tristan.
Yeah.
Like who would have thought we got to talk to Tristan McFarland, aka Floss the Mac.
Yeah.
Who would have thought that we got to talk sit down with Bishop Jonathan L. Woods?
Yeah.
Who would have thought that we get to sit down with Shantae Baltes? Like, who thinks that we get to sit down and talk to these amazing people and we're connected for life?
Yeah,
like, people really did, like, they rock with us after they leave here. Like, they were like, okay, cool. Like, I like y'all.
Like, y'all real cool people. Like, for real.
That was like, oh my gosh. Like, real talk. And it's such a rewarding thing to be that place where people just like to come back to.
Yeah. I think one of the things that I enjoy is the people. Like, why I like being behind the camera a lot of times is because I just get to sit and glean and glisten and listen to these amazing people, like, who sometimes would have, I ain't gonna say they would have had an opportunity, but now, like, as we build network, as we build community, like, their voice, their messages now get to resonate out to those who've really been looking for it and just had not been able to find them.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that's one of the beauties for me is I heard the Lord say, help the helper. And that's exactly what that looks like. That's helping to create spaces, helping to create platforms, helping to capture the sounds, capture the videos that he's giving for the messages that he's giving people.
Yeah.
And helping them be able to get it out to the people who need it. Like, we're called to somebody.
Yeah.
And we called to everybody, but we're called to somebody. And if we're not showing up authentically, you talked about how your first season you was, Becky somebody.
I don't know who I was.
But the people who were looking for you couldn't find you because they couldn't recognize you.
That's so good.
That was like, I'm looking for this sound, I'm looking for this voice, but that ain't it. But it is it, but it ain't it. You know what I'm saying? So
it's the face, but not the sound.
It's the face, but not the sound.
That's why the sound is so important. It takes back to your point about God being specific about the sound.
Yeah.
Like, he gave us a sound for a reason.
Yeah.
And if something's voice activated, it does, and your sound is not recognizable.
Yeah.
Then nothing moves. Nothing opens. Y'all, I'm going to say that again. If you are trying to manipulate the God-given sound that you were given, what happens is the door doesn't open.
Yeah.
And what happens when the door doesn't open, you become frustrated, like you're doing the wrong thing, but you're sounding the wrong way.
Mm.
And so it has really increased our community.
Yeah.
Our sound has increased our community, like, just on both ends. And so I think that part makes us happy, both just because we love to serve. Like, there's a servant aspect to this space, to where we allow people that don't normally get to have a platform to speak, because there's some when I say some really dope people,
really dope, man,
that don't get the opportunity to have, I don't even want to say their shine, but to be heard. And God has given us a platform. I think I'm getting over the point of trying to get these celebrities or the most well-known people. Now, there's some people that say they want to be on the platform, some celebrities or some strong influencers that's going to be on Jess Ask. I'm not negating that. But what I'm saying is me going after it like I was, like, oh, I need this person for Jess Ask to be seen, or I need this person for Jess Ask to go. No, it's going to go as God goes. Yeah. We didn't have that many people following us before Tabitha Brown.
Yeah.
And even after Tabitha Brown, people still didn't subscribe.
Yeah.
It was people like Kayla Inman and Shantae Baltez. When you look at the analytics and Pastor Andrea Gates, like that. Now that one is going ham.
Yeah.
Like people follow because of those type of people and those type of interactions that are not necessarily known worldwide.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so that's the importance of this platform. Speaking of that, it leads me into my last one, to where the benefit for me of podcasting is that it does increase influence. And as a believer, sometimes we can be like, oh, you're just trying to be influencer, you're trying to do this, but why wouldn't I?
Yeah.
That is part of a mountain.
It is.
It's part of a mountain, the mountain of entertainment. And if we're not in front of people, who's in front of the people?
The wrong stuff.
So we complaining about gun violence. We're complaining about the kids not having things to listen to. We're complaining about entertainment. We're complaining about people dying. We complain about all these things, but then we don't want to go be the people that influences or are in front or willing to be in front of the people because you think entertainment is just of the devil. And that's a lie.
Yeah.
That is a complete lie. And so I think that we have to get in our minds and digest properly that although, it works, it's good to be an influencer. But although we see influencers in a different way, and it's this content creation, it's kind of, it can have some great moments sometimes. However, the thing that we do, if we're leaning not into our own understanding in all thy ways, acknowledging him so he can make our path straight, we know that what the things that we do, the things that we promote, the things that we submit into the world are of God.
Yeah.
And why wouldn't we want to do that?
Yeah. I think God can use, if we're honest, God created everything, right? It's just because we're in the world uses it in a dark way. And so God is literally waiting for us to step into our God-given abilities, talents that he's given us to influence who he's called us to influence. Otherwise, like, what are we doing? Like, he didn't give us the gifts and the talents for ourselves. He gave them to us to help, to build, to edify other people. And he will use a platform. He will use somebody standing on the corner to do what his will, his kingdom is on this earth. You know what I'm saying? And I think sometimes when people make those types of comments, I think it's more internally some things that they're not okay with. Like, because if I'm honest, like, I would see, let's say if I see somebody on social media and they're constantly posting all the time, like, dang, they posting all the time. Well, the reality is, because I'm not comfortable posting, because I'm not comfortable with putting myself out there like that. That's the truth. There's nothing wrong with them. They doing exactly what they supposed to do.
Yeah.
But I had some insecurities or some things. So when you really step into this thing, like, wholeheartedly and give it your all, like, you're going to get the influence. And it may not be the influence that you're thinking it's going to be, but you're going to get the influence that it's supposed to be. As long as you allow God to lead and you keep leaning on what the plan is that he has for it, you're going to get the influence that you're supposed to have.
The beautiful thing I'm learning even about the influence space is that you can influence up.
Yeah.
You can influence up. What do I mean by that? The people that you think that you would be influenced by are influenced by you.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm learning that through this journey. People have been finding me on Instagram out of all places. People have been finding me personally. And like, I've been getting DMs from people like, I'm like, who is this person? Oh, this person look like this person. Oh, this person connected to this person. Wow. And you're DMing me, or when I tell you I've gotten a random DM that just blessed my spirit, okay? And the man of God started following me. And it's just been rewarding to people that you don't even know, that you look on their page and you look at the numbers. All right, now I don't even have 3,000 followers on Instagram. But yet I got a lot of blue check people that really got followers, not the fake blue checks. The real blue checks.
Mm-hmm. The real blue checks.
And yeah, that means something, that they have a status, right? Yeah. They got 65K following them, 100K following them, 1 million, 4 million people following them, and I'm just as confused. I'm like, but I only got 3K. God told me the other day, he was like, it's quality over quantity.
Mm-hmm.
And so the impact, not even just influence, but the impact that this podcast is making is allowing me to be seen by the people that need to see me.
Yeah.
It's allowing Desiree, y'all, Desiree has been like on the road. Like she been outside, y'all. She been working. I'm proud of my girl. Like it's giving Desiree another level of confidence. It's like when I walk into a room, I change things. Mm-hmm. Like I capture things. That is my gift.
Yeah.
I help you and I capture you. The real you. I ain't got time for the fake you. Mm-mm. And I can watch this. The guy is giving her so much discernment. And Bree just did a video about discernment. If y'all need to know what discernment, look up Life with Brianka, and she'll teach you about discernment. But God will give you the discernment that you need, and her discernment sticks out when somebody's not being themselves. Mm. When they're being inauthentic, and she can just be to meet you. She don't have to be around you. I ain't seen nothing like it. I have not seen anything like it. And so I'm grateful for this podcast. People say I'm proud of you. I'm proud of myself.
Yeah. That's big, Jess.
I am. Yeah. I thank you for your proud, but it's nothing like me being proud of me.
Yeah.
And because I know what this entails. But if you're thinking about starting a podcast or, whatever you're thinking about starting, don't just look for the money. Because the money has to gradually come, right? It's going to gradually come. Look for the things that are priceless.
Yeah.
Look for the development. Look for being the best version of yourself. And so I appreciate you even coming here and lending your ear to this platform. If this resonated with you, if you know somebody that's trying to start a podcast, I want you to send this out. That's where you had something to say?
No, this was a good episode. Like, I don't think I knew. So before we part of the only prep that we have when we together is she may send me what she may think we talking about kind of thing. And, so when I saw the time, I was like, oh, okay. But I really think it's important. Like she said, even if it's not a podcast per se, like there is something that God is giving you to go and for whatever reason you're hesitating, right? But you just have to start. He said, I'm in this process right now, and somebody asked me what my plan was. I said, I don't got no plan. The Lord didn't say go and figure it out. He said, go and follow me. He said, go and be obedient. And as we take steps in faith, like the other pieces will come, like your destiny helpers will come, the blueprint will come, but you first have to make the step to say, yes, Lord, and then move forward towards that thing. And so I'm just grateful just to be here because I can only see, I think we've only scratched the tip of what God is really trying to do in this space, in this media space, in this entertainment space, because it is a mountain of influence and he has called us to dominate the earth in general. And if we don't step into that, we can't complain about what we see.
That's so good. That is so good. So I'm going to do something that I really feel the Holy Spirit leading me to. I'm going to pray for y'all. Pray for us.
Yeah.
Right. So God, we thank you. We thank you for the opportunity for one to acknowledge who you are. Thank you for the opportunity just to be called your sons and daughters of the kingdom. God, we thank you for the opportunity to speak well of you. And so God, in this moment, we ask that you continue to reveal what you want from us. Yeah. Thank you, Holy Spirit. Thank you for allowing us to see how you see us. And thank you, Lord God, that as we go and as we obey, that you reveal even the more to us, God, specifically for people that are interested in the entertainment, in the mountain of entertainment. God, I bless them. I thank you right now, Lord God, that you're giving them the tools that they need for not only for themselves, but for the impact that they would bring. God, I thank you for the tenacity. I thank you for the consistency. I thank you, Lord God, that they see themselves as you see them because they deserve to be consistent with themselves first. Yes, I thank you right now, Lord God, that they even, thank you, Holy Spirit, they even start to trust themselves, what you have embedded into them, God. I thank you, Lord God, that they start to trust themselves so much that they invest in what they see. They invest time, they invest finances so they can grow and develop. God, I thank you that you're allowing them to be in the proper place around the proper people to build community, not just for themselves, God, but to enhance the kingdom. For we do nothing without you, oh God. And so, God, I trust you. We trust you with what you say about us. We trust you with the activation of the voice, with the consistency, with the confidence, with the influence, God, with the community. God, is all by you. And so, God, before we go anywhere, before we do anything, before we press a record button, before we activate the sound, we look to the hills which cometh our help, and our help comes from you. And so, God, bless the platforms. God, bless the thought processes, bless the planning and the execution, bless the partnerships in the name of Jesus, and continue to have your way in this space, in this realm of podcasting, in this realm of community, in this realm of entertainment, in this realm of impact and influence. And God, we trust you, we honor you, we glorify you in Jesus' name. Amen.